What's going on, guys? Thanks for watching the after credits scene. We're counting down the top 10 Easter eggs in episode 3 of Moon Knight. There were plenty of other hidden gems in this week's episode to dig into, but before we do that, we'd appreciate it if you'd like this video and subscribe to our channel, then share this sucker all across the multiverse. Now, on to the eggs! When Layla's getting her forged passport made, her relative, friend, whoever, refers to her as her father's little scarab. Now, there's a big long path that explains how the MCU is combining a few different comic storylines into this one person named Layla, but you can dig into that on your own. What you need to know is that this scarab reference is a nod to a superhero persona that Layla may take up in the future, known as the Scarlet Scarab. So keep your eyes and ears peeled as the show moves forward for any more hints at Layla's heroic future. Also, in the passport scene, we can spot Layla's birth date on the passport. This date, except for the year, is also May Calamawy's birth date, the actress that plays Layla. Similarly, in episode 2, Mark's birth date on his passport is shared by Oscar Isaac. In addition, the issue date is of note as well. We can't be sure because it's a forged passport, but if the issue date is correct at all, it means that Layla was not snapped away by Thanos. On a side note, anyone know if there's any significance to Layla pausing mid-monologue to down a marshmallow? Anyone? Anyone? Moving on. Next, we get some not-so-subtle foreshadowing of another personality inside Mark and Steven's body. When Steven stops Mark from attacking the men in the alleyway, they all wake up again atop a large cliff with several of the men dead around them. With both personas claiming they didn't do it, it's more than likely Jake Lockley, the cab driver persona, is about to make his grand entrance into the MCU. Another interesting note here is that before this scene, Mark awakens inside a taxi cab. Perhaps this little moment was all it took to trigger Jake into taking over. As Khonshu and Mark are making their case before the Ennead, Khonshu casually drops the name of the Ennead's homeworld, the overvoid. In the comics, this location is what Asgard would be to Thor and the other Viking-type mythologies, except the overvoid exists in its own pocket dimension, kind of like Ta Lo in Shang-Chi. It's also in this scene that we're introduced to more of the actual MCU Ennead players. Those in attendance for the meeting were Tefnut, Horus, Osiris, Isis, and Horath. It remains to be seen if Khonshu is considered an actual member of the Ennead or merely a secondary player in their world. Either way, the rest of the Ennead, as Steven foreshadowed with his museum poster in episode 1, is conspicuously absent from the meeting. Also, it remains to be seen who Arthur Harrow is an avatar for. Any guesses? As Layla and Mark search for the path to Amit's tomb, they cross paths with a former associate of Layla's named Anton Mogart. One of Anton's henchmen remarks that he and Layla had some sort of shady dealings in Madripoor at one point. You might remember Madripoor from Falcon and the Winter Soldier. This fictional Marvel city is a hotbed of seedy criminal behavior and also a frequented hiding place for our favorite mutant, Wolverine. Another striking detail, striking, is that as Moon Knight lays waste to Anton and his forces, he and Layla flee, and the clock under Khonshu strikes midnight. This is a reference to Anton Mogart's forthcoming alter ego, Midnight Man. Due to Gaspar Ulliel's untimely death, it's uncertain whether or not we'll see this interaction of the villain ever, but the setup was nice, and we're glad that Marvel decided to keep it in. It's also fitting that the episode is dedicated to Gaspar, with a tagline in the end credits. Out of respect, we're considering it one of our Easter eggs this week. In the same set of scenes at Anton's, Arthur Harrow shows up and mentions that Layla's father was killed, and Mark perhaps knows more about it than he has told Layla. In the comics, this murder and Mark's witnessing of it are all tied to the moment that he becomes Moon Knight. If I had to speculate, I'd bet we get that in some sort of backstory sooner rather than later. So that's it! What did you see? Did you catch all the eggs, or did you see something that we missed? Let us know in the comments. In the meantime, hit the subscribe button or check out some of our other content along the way. And when the next one drops, we'll see you right back here. Later, guys.